you're going to have a session with one of,
Hold on.
I know. As soon as I saw it, I was like,
It's all right. So we're on Facebook. Everything's just kind of pulling up here real quick. Let's see.
right.
And hold on those that are just popping on with us. We're just making sure everything is moving. Okay, here we go. So hi everyone, welcome. My name is Yogi Raven and I am the founder and creator of Souls Intuit. And I am here with an amazing light worker and sister friend of mine, Jenna Croockshanks. So welcome. We are going to be talking about food and the body's intuition and nutrients and healing ourselves and the emotions behind that. So welcome, Jenna. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this awesome group and to be able to share some wisdom with everybody today.
I know. Okay, before we get started, I just can't wait to start. I'm going to introduce you to the group. So for those of you that don't know Jenna Croockshanks is an HHP, a holistic health practitioner, and an intuitive health coach. She owns Jenna Rose Coaching, and through it helps men and women heal from their chronic health issues. This is huge because so many people have health issues that are chronic and cannot be figured out by most medical professionals. Her health journey started at age 20 when she was diagnosed with PCOS, which we'll talk about. Along with that, she had several other issues such as digestive pain, constipation, trouble losing weight, acne, eating, body image issues, anxiety, depression, and more. I feel like they're talking straight to me. Because she couldn't find answers in the conventional medical field, like most of us, she sought out her holistic health and changed her own life. While healing her physical body, she realized how connected her health issues were to her emotions and beliefs about herself. She started to understand how to identify and eliminate those physical and emotional barriers that were holding her back. And she now helps men and women to do the same by helping them cultivate their own spiritual connection, find their identity, gifts, and courage to live an authentic life. She fully believes every person has an ability to heal and loves that she gets to be a part of that process for her clients. So welcome everybody to meeting Jenna. Thank you so much for sharing with us.
Yeah, thank you.
So why don't you start with your journey? Why don't you start with that acronym that we were just looking at, the PCOS? I'm not very familiar with it. I'm sure a lot are though. So
yeah, so my journey really started when I was about 17. So 10 years now, I've been on a healing journey, health healing journey. I, at 17, really had a lot of digestive issues. I was having a lot of hormonal issues. I wasn't having like menstrual cycles, or very rarely. I was having weight issues, stomach pain, all that kind of stuff. I was always really obsessed with my body, even from age, like I would say probably like 9 and on. I was very obsessed with dieting and losing weight. So everything I was doing, I was just trying to constantly lose weight, change how my body looked, all of that. So I had moved away and was working on my health, got kind of in a spiral of under eating and over exercising, still trouble losing weight, still having hormonal issues. Then I switched into binge eating and gained like a lot of weight, like 40 pounds in like 6 months. I mean, I just flipped the opposite way. And I was in such an unhappy place with my body, but I kind of figured out at that point, like something was actually like wrong. Like it wasn't just me not being able to lose weight just because. So I went to the doctor. Again, I wasn't really having menstrual cycles at that point, and I knew that that was not right. So I officially got a diagnosis of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a hormonal disease, affects many, many women. It is where basically, like the true test for it is when you have elevated testosterone in your body. So too high testosterone, like traditional markers for it would be like women getting facial hair, having no cycles. It comes with a range of things, inability to lose weight, fatigue, gut issues, lots of stuff like that. And the biggest thing it comes with is a chance of infertility or a struggle with infertility. So I asked the doctor about that because I had known that because I knew people who had PCOS, and she kind of said, let's get you on some birth control. That'll get you having a cycle. And when you want to have kids, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Well, that just didn't sit well with me and my intuition. I felt like that was not what the answer was. And so I was in such a bad space with my body and everything that I sought out natural health. That's where my journey really started, and what motivated me to get on the journey. And it's been years ever since of healing my body from those issues and healing from my stomach issues. And not just that, but healing and evolving into really my spiritual path. I feel like my body for me was the guide for me getting on my spiritual journey and kind of awakening to my true self in life. But it started off with a lot of pain and stuff going on in my body. So,
Mm. And so what do you think, like, what was the biggest change, or when did you start to notice a change between or correlate what you were experiencing with your emotions and what you had gone through with the chronic medical PCOS?
yeah. So honestly, it was after I'd started with a natural piece because I was taking supplements and doing muscle testing for supplements, which is a great way to tap into the energy of the body. Loving that. I had changed a lot of my food. I was doing kind of like all the right things, but I was still having health issues come up. Like I would have some other symptoms come up. And then I started having ovarian cyst rupture and hospitalizations. And like, I'm like, okay, if I'm doing the work, what's happening? Like what's still causing these issues? Why do I have to rely on a ton of supplements just to feel a certain way? And so I also felt that too. Like there has to be deeper healing than just taking supplements and sticking to a very strict regimen. That's when I started to really discover and went through teaching as well about the emotional connection to the physical body. And that's when I started to kind of uncover the traumas that I had gone through, the emotions that I was still experiencing in my body, the choices that I had made in the years as I was trying to heal myself that were kind of detrimental in an emotional way to my healing journey, also. And it was a really big eye opener for me because, again, it was like, okay, here's this whole other piece of possibility when it comes to healing through my emotions that I didn't really consider before that point.
Hmm. And so what was one thing that you feel safe sharing, and that I'm sure other people can relate, that you said, wow, as soon as I started to look at this part of a trauma or an emotion, I noticed my stomach stopped hurting or whatever.
Yeah. So, one of my main patterns until I changed this pattern was fitting, how do I want to say this? Making myself fit into something that I thought would get me love in life, love from a partner, right? So I would constantly mold myself and not be my true self because I just wanted to be loved and accepted so badly. And I didn't want anyone to leave me. I had a big fear of abandonment. So that drove a lot of my decisions through my young, late teens into early 20s and put me in some traumatic situations with men and things like that. But I recognized that pattern was within myself, that I was constantly seeking that, and I was never really showing my true light and using my power. So when I finally kind of was in a dark place with that, released that pattern and shifted and got into a healthier relationship, my stomach started to get so much better. Because I was finally able to start using my power and not suppressing my will, my choice, and stopped suppressing who I was. I also, like, one other thing was something that I noticed when I was working, and I would worked in a clinic for many years, is that I was constantly doing for others. The pattern of because I can do it means I will do it was definitely like my belief system. It's where I got my validation from doing things well. Well, I was constantly chronically fatigued. So when I decided to quit and do something that nourished me and for myself, my fatigue is, I mean, that was less than a year ago. It's so much better than it used to be now, because I recognize and create those boundaries for myself. So just two like big examples in my life of correlating, my emotional patterns with things happening in my body. And I also feel like outside of it just being targeted to a specific symptom, it was every time I made that choice for more alignment for myself, I felt like all of my symptoms, it just enhanced the next level of the healing of my body. It was like I was unstuck after I made those decisions.
That's so beautiful. And I love that. I think those of you that are watching, can you type in a number one if you can relate to um, saying yes too many times when you really want to say no? Can you? Because I can relate to that. I definitely went through that struggle of just trying to please everybody and make everybody around me happy because I love, yes, Carrie can relate. I love helping people. But if we're not in a place of being able to help ourselves first, which is what I'm hearing you say, then we start to create this imbalance within our own system. So number one thing, right, to help saying no is what I'm hearing.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. When I finally said no and like created a boundary for myself, actually, like I was having, so resentment, I'm just going to share this real quick. So we have resentment, unforgiveness. We build resentment when we say yes, but we mean no. We build resentment maybe toward that situation, that person, or ourselves for denying what we need. And liver in Chinese medicine is the anger is and unforgiveness is the emotions associated with the liver. So I actually bloated way up. I had a full on histamine reaction. My eyes actually swelled shut. I was so swollen. I had hives all over. I was digging into my skin, and my liver or my whole stomach was bloated so bad because my liver was so stressed from that built up resentment, that built up anger. That was my body's full physical expression of that. So something interesting.
So those of you that are watching, can you relate to this? Type a number two to feeling overly stressed and feeling like you believe that there's a correlation between the bloating and resentment, a resentment. We've got about 12 watching, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Type number one is if they can relate. And two, yes, Carrie can also relate to that. That's huge. Yeah. You know, another thing that I just learned was that I think the gallbladder line is connected with the lymphatic system, which is also very correlated to the third eye.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're not in a relaxed state and our gallbladder is blocked, we can't have that connection with our intuition, right? And see clear insight.
Right. And we're so blocked. Our pineal gland, our third eye is so under stress nowadays with all the stuff that we are in contact with the electronics and everything like that. I mean, you can see how so many people have gallbladder issues as well, too, right? And also that built up resentment, that inability to connect with who they really are. That's why that's such a common issue.
And if anybody wants to post any questions to Jenna at this time, by all means, please do so. Otherwise, we'll just keep on with the conversation. But we would love to know anything that you're relating to with this topic. I definitely not only ate, like I grew up on fish sticks and tater tots and like McDonald's, and
Oh, yeah.
Midwestern. You're an Norwegian, so
Yeah, I definitely can relate. My kindergarten what I want to be when I grew up was a McDonald's worker, which is so ironic to me now. But I lived on McDonald's. Mac and cheese and Kool-Aid was like my thing for so many years. And God bless my mother because she grew a garden, still does grow a garden, tried to get me to eat the vegetables. But even so, we had that. But then my mom was also like, hey, let's bake cookies. It's Tuesday night. We should bake a double batch of cookies and then have one for breakfast on the way out the door. Or, that's kind of how we were raised. My mom did try to integrate some of that stuff, but it was still a lot of, I'm call like dead food kind of that we ate.
Dead food. For those of you that are watching, can you type 1 if you eat, if you try to eat healthy? 2 if you're just starting your new relationship with food.
Mm.
1 if you try to eat healthy. 2 if you're just now starting a new type of relationship with food. My mother grew up in the country on a farm, and so she never really had to look at food. In her day and age, there was just an assumption that food had nutrients in it.
Right.
And so I think we're all kind of moving into this new understanding around food gives us nutrients, but also the emotions and our beliefs about things either blocks us from receiving nutrients or allows it in as well, right? Because you could be eating all the nutrients in the world, but if you're feeling resentment, right? If you're feeling anger, you're like it's blocked, like there's
Right.
constriction.
It's just as it actually changes your emotions and your belief systems change your biochemistry just the way that food does. It's no different. And I always share with clients that anything happening in your physical body has a root in your emotions. So it's a direct result of that too. So I feel like even in the health, fitness world, whatever, there is a lot of still labeling of good, bad foods. It's something that I'm kind of working out of because I feel like I was in that for a long time as well. But um, it's kind of the perpetuating of if you just eat well and you just work out, you just take these supplements, it all is fine. But there's this whole missing piece, and it's a spiritual component to health and healing, the fact that we are souls and that we are on a spiritual journey. And our body truly is our guide. Your body will speak to you through the symptoms when you're out of alignment, when you're out of spiritual alignment. And that's what's beautiful about the body is you can start to learn how to decode these things, which like Chinese medicine knew and other ancient forms of medicine knew that when a person was having liver issues, they were obviously holding on to anger and unforgiveness. Or if they were were they living in heavy, heavy amounts of fear, that was going to present as a kidney issue for them. So they understood this and used it as a tool. And that's what I want to get back to is just this empowered way of being in our bodies where we're not fearing the symptoms or trying to go from an outside in approach to this diet or that diet. And we're really going from an inside out, recognizing the sacredness of the body, connecting with your own needs of your body versus the needs of somebody else's, and starting to honor that your body is trying to keep you on your path as much as possible. And in a lot of ways, it's your best friend. It's so full of wisdom. It's a sacred vessel. It really is.
Yeah, I heard the statement, if the body's not on board, then neither are you. And I've heard people tell stories of, yeah, so true, right?
So good. That's a good one.
Because if your body is not a hell yes to it, then there's usually something in the body. I was just listening about remote viewing. And the woman that was teaching in this talk last night was just saying the body is picking up on so much around you that's when you get a bad feeling about something or a bad feeling about food or whatever. But yet your logical brain starts to disregard it or just negate it, like it doesn't know what it's talking about, right? And I heard women were like, as soon as I like showed up to the altar to marry my husband, I started vomiting. And then they ended up like having to divorce their husband like 15, whatever years later, because it just wasn't a good relationship, but they didn't listen.
Right.
Can anybody relate to that? Can anybody relate to that? Lynn says, battled weight my whole life, lost 100 pounds 3 times, and now I'm on this journey. Thank you so much already. Oh my gosh, honey, I feel you. We are sending you so much love and thank you so much for sharing that with us. I can relate too. Jenna, can you relate to this concept of like just trying to control the body to lose a certain amount of weight and then you get to that place and boomerang back?
Yeah, absolutely. I did it for years. Oh my gosh, I did the flat belly diet. I drank Slim Fast when I was little. I did Weight Watchers. I did keto, count your macros, eat only clean. Oh my gosh, I did so many things to try to manipulate my body. And I just want to honor what you shared, Lynn, because I just want to speak to the fact that you can trust your body. You can trust the journey that you're on right now with your body. For myself, it was what I started to realize about emotions as well is that you cannot change your habits around your body until you learn to motivate from a place of love and not from a place of needing to change or force your body to be something different. We're either motivated by pain or love. And a lot of people start their health journey by being motivated by pain. But if it doesn't evolve into self love, nourishment, and alignment, those habits tend to go by the wayside. And that's another reason why dealing with our emotions and really understanding where our belief systems, our habits come from is paramount in sustainable healing in the body and sustainable habits as well. And it's a journey, it does evolve. Well, this is where there's nothing, no mistakes, right? It's all perfect exactly as it is.
I love that. And I would love for you, Jenna, to touch on, what you have found, I guess, chronically working with clients, what they're overcoming and what you have seen as a result of them aligning with their emotions and their soul.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let me think on that. So I've got so many clients right now that we're all working through different aspects of what that means. Clients who join because they're having hormonal problems, they're feeling emotional all the time, they're feeling fatigued all the time, and then it ends up coming out that they're trying to control every aspect of their life, they're not trusting anything, and then ends up coming out evolving into the fact that they don't like what they're doing for a living and they want to become a healer, and they just realized who they really were for the first time ever. That was one situation. I also had this client who she came to me with chronic PCOS also, so polycystic ovarian syndrome, a lot of ovarian pain. It can be a very painful thing as well. By the time we ended up getting done working together, I worked on nutrition and things like that, ended up correlating her PCOS, which any sort of a female disease in that way is usually a denying of the feminine aspect or resentment of being a female. So we ended up finding out that it was her resentment toward the men in her life and how they had like treated her when she was younger, like coworkers, or whether it was a family member or just acquaintances. She had all this resentment built up inside of her that had manifested as these cysts. So then we had this huge breakthrough of helping her walk through forgiveness and releasing that resentment so her body could move forward with a new way of being. It's just, I'm trying to think if I have other clients. I mean, I have so many others that I could talk about. Resentment for one of my clients who had breast cancer. She had unforgiveness with herself around a miscarriage that she had had. Breast cancer relates to mother issues or mother child disconnect right there. So when these people start to align, you start to wake up and you realize, oh my gosh, this is what I've been holding on to, because so many people, I think we don't realize until we start to choose alignment that we really do carry this stuff. Our body carries the memory of these things on the inside. And so you can really change the way the disease pattern happening in your body. You can really truly reverse that disease pattern by changing these belief systems and releasing past things. And then from that, the release is one point, and then I think the next is to really then choose differently and choose something that's going to bring you your highest joy, which is something I feel like a lot of us don't do as well. We're living for survival, or as for our kids if we're mothers, or pleasing others, or whatever that might be. So choosing what fills you up is going to bring your body that life-giving healing energy as well.
I love that. Saying no, being more in alignment with the self, and choosing more joy.
Yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can definitely recall when I had some eating, I had my own bout with eating disorders, like going to McDonald's. I don't know why everyone talks about McDonald's, but I also went to McDonald's and I would get a double cheeseburger, large fry. I'd get a McFlurry and 2 oatmeal raisin cookies. And then I would shove them, I would eat them all, and then I would feel really bad about eating them. So then I wouldn't go out, or I would try to throw up. And I again still wouldn't go out because I just was, and then I would stare at myself in the mirror and I had such hatred for the way that I looked, the way that my body was. I had so many things that I felt were wrong with it. And I can really relate to that journey of trying to get myself into a place of comfort with myself. And one thing that I started to ask myself just recently is, what does my body need to be in the most optimal capacity? And started to have that conversation with it, because we almost look at our bodies as if it's a foreign object outside of ourselves, when it is literally something we live in.
Right. Yeah, I think I so resonate with that. I mean, after I chronically dieted, I did the same thing. I worked at a restaurant, so I would eat a full meal, I would drink, and then I would go home and I would eat like a whole bag of Reese's to the point where I almost made myself sick. Then I hated myself. And then I repeated the cycle. And I felt that my body was to blame for everything bad in my life, like not having a boyfriend, so like traumatic to me. And feeling like that was my body's fault. But we're told in this world, it's like it perpetuates this disconnect. You have the industries telling you your body doesn't look good, you don't meet the standard in that way. So you have that. And then you have kind of a medical model, which again is completely necessary. I'm not knocking that, but it does kind of create this disconnect of you're broken and here's a pill to try to fix that. Otherwise, sorry about it. And that was kind of what I was told. And so then there's that disconnect of I can't trust my body to be well for me either. So we're all really disconnected from, like what you said, what we live in, this soul that we live in, or what our soul lives in, excuse me. So yeah, little practices to, like, for me, I started just recognizing that I wasn't in my body, that I did live in my body. And I started talking to my body as a separate entity from me, talking to it about how much I appreciated it and how much I was grateful for what it was doing for me, despite the fact, the things that I had done to it in the past, and how I forgave it or asked for forgiveness to it. And I just kind of started like a dialect and started purposely looking at myself in the mirror and talking different thoughts, speaking out different things and starting to really befriend my body. And that started the shift for me.
Lynn is asking, can you give me one place to start my alignment? I don't want to self-sabotage again.
Lynn, I would say go back to your intention, and get really, really clear with why you're creating the habits that you have. Whether get clear about what your motivation is. Is it a place of love or is it a place of pain? And I would also start to reconnect with your body, even focusing on that more than your actual habits at this time, befriending your body. I usually have my clients do an exercise where they write 3 letters, one to their body about how they feel about it, one from their body back to them, and one from them back to their body about how they want to feel about it. So that would be somewhere I would start. Everything comes down to intention as well. If we can get really clear on that, then our habits naturally start to shift and don't go by the wayside again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really beautiful place to start. And I was just thinking too, what was coming from it. Just found out I had PCOS, and losing weight is not happening, and it's super discouraging. Do you want to
Yeah.
contribute to that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So Jocelyn, I don't know if you were at the beginning, but that was what I was diagnosed with, was PCOS, and what I've been healing myself from for several years. And I work with a lot of women on their hormones. But just like with anything else, your body is always going to be at the weight that it needs to be. So we have our idea of what our bodies should weigh and what our body should look like. And a lot of weight loss programs are this outside in, right? I'm going to force my body to be this certain way, to look this certain way. But if there is a deeper imbalance going on, for example, the PCOS, the hormone imbalance, maybe it's a gut issue or whatnot, your body will hold weight on as a form of protection for you. And so when we know that the body is designed to heal and it's always giving us its best, which Jocelyn, your body is still giving you its best right now, as it always will. Um, it will hold on to weight. It might keep up certain symptoms. It might do something that we don't think is the right thing, but it's what needs to be at that time. And weight loss is a byproduct of a healthy body. So even so, the health is always prioritized by the body. The body's not going to prioritize the weight over the health first. So healing is foremost. You can trust this too. I know it gets discouraging. I feel you. I've been there. Um, yeah, practice that self trust, that trusting of your body as well, because it's exactly where it needs to be.
Mhm. This is the topic of the week. This is about clair gustance, which is clear taste. And when you think about taste, that's not just food, right? As Jenna, you were talking about, what are you feeding yourself? What are you malnourished in spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically? Lynn, and that makes so much sense. Jocelyn as well. What can you feed your soul that is going to make you feel full in internally, right? That's going to make you feel whole. And sometimes food is used as an aversion to not feel. And then I want to bring up this subject because I feel like, Jenna, you can relate. I almost feel like we've talked about this before, and I feel like this is an issue with women as well, is that I had sexual abuse issues. I know a lot of other women have experienced that, but also I felt it was safer for me to have more weight on because I was more accepted by other women. I was less of an intimidation in that way, and I wanted to be more connected with tribe. So I don't know if you women can, if the other women that are on this call can also relate to that piece of, it's very multi-layered why we have weight on, why we put weight on, and how, that doesn't just protect us, but it also creates more of an invitation of safety um, from the
Right.
circle.
Yeah, I know, the emotional connection to weight, weight gain, and ability to lose weight oftentimes is self-protection. So for me, it was like, don't see me, like, don't really see me. I'm afraid to let you see the depths of me because I don't want to be rejected. So then my body was doing that protection. So again, it's still the innate wisdom of the body. It just doesn't feel good, or it's not what we want, but it's what we need at that time. Spiritual alignment always comes first, as with any of these things. And going back to what you said about the cravings, yeah, when you're eating and craving food and eating it and knowing that it's not nourishing you, there's something else that you're missing out on. What are you really craving? And so often we're just craving that love and connection, but we can find that within ourselves too. And we can love and connect to our body just through those daily habits on our own and start to find that own form of self acceptance. But I definitely relate to the self protection, dealing with some sexual issues myself as well. Um, yeah, it's really amazing when you start to decode this stuff. Our bodies are so wise. They're like so like such our best friends. They're just so on this path with us. I don't know. So much wisdom there.
So much wisdom. Do you ladies or gentlemen that are watching, I see we've got quite a few, and thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Is there anything that you guys want to share? Any men that have any issues around food that they want to talk about that, Jenna can share her wisdom. Emotional eating can also be tied to self-worth and whether we feel we are worthy of being healthy. Yeah, there's so many stories around the concept of food. And I don't know if you guys know this, but your taste buds, your ability to taste are correlated to emotion, to memory, to thinking, to perception. And you have taste buds not just on your tongue, but in other areas of your body that are correlative to digestion. Hi, Brittany. Brittany's saying hi, beauties.
Hi,
Um,
Brittany.
Food is, let's see, Lynn said, food is a silencer. It stops silencer. It stops the world. Wow, that just came out to me. Thank you. Yeah, food can absolutely silence us and um, and make us feel isolated too when we eat. It almost makes us feel if we're eating emotionally, right? And
Mhm.
that's the other thing I had somebody else ask, like, are you eating because you're bored? Are you eating because you're really hungry? I think that was another good piece of suggestion.
I,
Um,
th- I think we can also, can I share? I want that we
yeah,
can feel really isolated in trying to eat healthy as well. I think that's an extremely isolating thing. I think that that can cause more emotional kind of damage than even just eating crappy food and not really realizing it. And I feel like that gets perpetuated a lot in the culture that we're in. It's like always trying to, be better, do better. Yeah, be perfect. I used to weigh my food, count all the macros. If I got off plan, I thought I was going to lose my mind. That was extremely disconnecting for me and my body and kind of perpetuated self-sabotage as well. So it's not just, yeah, whether we're emotional eating, it's like eating emotionally in a healthy way, kind of like trying to control our environment, trying to control, you know, yeah, just the things around us, our bodies.
yeah, I think that's a really great point. I actually just right before this call had a session with somebody and it kept coming up around food. And she's like, well, I don't think I have a food, issue, but I actually really control my food. I control how, like you were saying, like I control what I eat, when I eat. Well, the question is, are you enjoying what you're even eating?
Right.
Right? Are you even enjoying that process of food? Now, Tara says, what if you're disinterested in food?
What I feel, what came to my spirit there is disconnected from pleasure.
Tara, why don't you let us know if that resonates with you? I do have a friend that thinks food is like a waste of time, and she only eats because she has to. She just, and I think that this is what's so beautiful about the composition of humans is that we all are different recipes, and some people get turned off of eating food when they have emotional things that are happening to them, whereas other people want to eat because they're having an emotional experience. Melanie says, for me, I can maintain a healthy weight if I eat a salad a day, but it makes me sad. I love food.
I love that. That's awesome. I think that there's also too, because like if you look at it in that way, right? It's like, well, I have to eat a salad in order to be healthier to maintain my weight. Then there's that motivation still that's like I'm motivated to control it. When food and healthy food can be something that a foodie can enjoy as well. I mean, if you make it and really get into the pleasure of it and the experience of new ways to cook with it, and you can really not just be like, here's my salad with some carrot shavings and cucumbers on it and some oil on the dressing, as the dressing. I'm totally a foodie. I grew up with a cook that my mother is an amazing cook. I'm definitely snotty about food in some ways. And learning, I don't know, it's just not about just eating like crappy little salads. It can really be a pleasurable experience, but that's when we have to shift our belief system around it. Because when we enter into that space, it's like a space of pleasure and not of constriction or
Can we talk,
restriction.
can we talk about taste buds too? Like, because they change, right? They
Right.
change when we start to eat different foods. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, they do. I also want to go a little bit deeper with that and talk about our gut and our microbiome and this life that we have inside of us. Um, our microbiome is constantly influencing every aspect of our lives. And when we eat really like dead food, I'll call it dead food, not bad food, but dead food a lot, we crave more of that dead food because it's feeding the pathogens, kind of the bad guys in the microbiome. So when we start to eat healthier, your good bacteria start to flourish and it flushes out the bad guys. And from that, they signal to your brain that you want that food and that food starts to taste better for you. That healthy live food starts to taste better. So it's really a very like biochemical thing that comes from the microbiome influencing your neurotransmitters in your brain to tell you what tastes good and what doesn't taste good and what you crave and what you're not craving.
Yeah, that gets into the whole conversation around like the brain within the
Mm,
gut.
oh my gosh,
And
yeah, there's so much to
yeah,
that.
well, from an alchemical standpoint, the soul is operated through the three components, the Trinity, which have to do with the three brains, which is the brain of the head, the heart, and the stomach. So it's such an interesting thing that mind blown, says Brittany. Yeah, I mean, you really start to get into like how your soul is operating and perceiving reality and perceiving what food is and how you're digesting. Because from a stomach standpoint, in a chakra standpoint, that has more organs than any other chakra.
Yeah, yeah. Food is spiritual. There is a spiritual component. I don't know if you read any of Medical Medium stuff, but he channels about food. And he actually channels about, for example, like cherries or avocados. And he gives you the actual spiritual lessons that food teach, like um, how that shifts your energy level or your energy. So, for example, I think avocados has to do with maybe like feeling motherly or something like that. So, you're eating, craving a lot of avocados on a spiritual, emotional component. There is a shift happening. There is a lesson being taught, alignment being changed when you're eating that food. So cool that it nourishes us truly on all levels.
And craving, like how much are you diving into our cravings and listening to those cravings and allowing yourself to enjoy those cravings, right? Like I craved a hot dog the other day and I normally eat vegan, but I just did it and it tasted really good. I just embraced it. It was organic, y'all. Brittany says, just found out that cherries are the best for sleep due to the, yeah, melatonin. I was just going to say that.
Yep.
I just had cherry come in, cherries for somebody. Do you know what cherries is from according to the medical medium?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I do know that he talks about that for melatonin as well. But there's a book, it's called Life Changing Foods, and it gives a lot because he's very into plant foods as well. So if you get that, you can reference that if anyone's curious about it.
And Tara responds, she said, wait, I lost the message. Let me see her. There's so many of you comments. She says it just seems like it's like in the way, kind of thing, eating. And then LJ says some things to be said for lemon water, celery juice to start the day. Absolutely. Just completed the 369 cleanse. I feel amazing. And then Afshin responded to Brittany, yes, tart cherry juice helps with sleep. If you have some at night, increases natural production of melatonin. It absolutely does. It's so great for sleep. And sleep is huge for your body to process the day. And if you're not getting deep sleep, then you're walking and waking up in a stressed state, which is affecting the lymphatic system and the whole microbiome, right, of the stomach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, food is either bringing light to your cells or it's dimming the light of your cells. You're only as healthy as your cells. But I still think it comes back to balance and at the end of the day, following intuition. Like you said, you ate a hot dog, right? Because we can get so caught up and restrict ourselves in the healthy eating or what it means to eat that certain way. And we do want to nourish our body with living, life-giving foods most of the time. But for another component of our health and our emotional well-being and our spiritual well-being, it is to enjoy some of those other foods that might be labeled as bad foods sometimes as well. I fully believe that. So it's just still about trusting your own body, your own needs of your body. And the more you listen to your body and practice that listening, the more you're gonna hear your body and you're gonna be able to follow those intuitions. Stopping and listening is probably the biggest thing that I would say people can start with doing when it comes to this, because a lot of times we don't.
And Brittany says, yes, eat the hot dog. And it's, I agree. And I think I was just talking with my mother-in-law who came to visit, and I was saying, I really feel like in general I'm thinner than I was when I first entered into your life, because I think my husband and I have been together like maybe 12 years or 11 or 12 years, something like that. She's like, oh yeah, you have. And I was in a different place back then. And me being comfortable in that form of skin was safe for me. And now it feels safe for me to be in a different place with my body. And it's been in this place of evolution, right? We are constantly having this perception of like the way that we look, and even men have this thing called bigorexia, right?
Yep. Yeah. I remember when I got into the relationship that I'm in now, which is a healthy relationship, I dropped like 20 pounds, 20 pounds within a matter of a few months. And it's not about that. But what I did realize after the fact is, even though I'd been trying so hard before, I was in such a stressed out place. I was in such a dark place. That my body just wasn't ready to lose that weight. So when I became just more comfortable with who I was, comfortable with my partner, feeling safer, being able to express myself more, speaking my needs, then my body just started to let go of that weight. I was feeling safe. So my body didn't have to protect me in that way anymore.
I love it. Yeah. And LJ says, Cleanse to Heal is a great book to get on the path of eating spiritually, so centering to your mind, body, and spirit. And you just made me think when I used to teach full-time yoga, numerous classes a day, I remember telling people I lost the most weight loving myself the most. It was never about any of the actions. It was never about any of the workouts. I don't work out nearly as much as I used to. I was teaching, anywhere from like 15 to 20 classes a week. And I'm in a thinner, more comfortable state now because of where I'm at emotionally and mentally in my own mind.
And I want to caddy that off of weight is just to anybody dealing with any sort of a chronic disease. It's the same thing. Yes, the food matters. Yes, the movement matters, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's the love that matters. It's the love that heals. It's the connection. It's the spiritual alignment. It's the joy. Your body's ability to be healthy is directly correlated to your ability to hold joy through the ups and downs of life. And so, yeah, not just a weight thing. It's for all people who are dealing with all of these chronic illnesses that have become really rampant in our world today.
I totally agree with you. This is just such a beautiful conversation. I feel like everyone is really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Jenna, I'm just trying to look and see when your workshop is.
I think it's next Friday, the 13th at 5:30 Mountain Time.
So next
No,
Friday
the 14th. Just kidding. Friday the 14th.
Sorry. I wish it was the 13th. Always a auspicious day. But so Jenna's going to be doing a workshop. Do you want to share about that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's going to be on, well, something we kind of talked about, which is healing your body by getting into it. So it's going to be all about cultivating the connection with your own body. I'm going to teach you guys on like how to like the sacredness of the body, how it's the guide on the spiritual journey, how to cultivate body trust. I'm going to talk about food. I'm going to talk about lifestyle alignment, and we're going to go into all of the things that I teach my clients around healing your body on a deeper level. So yeah, I'm really excited.
We are excited to take it and to promote it through Souls Into It. If you guys are interested in attending, we are throwing out there that if you share this interview on your page, then you will get a chance to win this workshop for free. So go ahead and share on your page, and we will poll in the next few days, just seeing how many people bite on this. But this workshop is going to be epic. It's a 2-hour experience. If you guys have any other questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to myself or Jenna. But we just can't wait to assist you in this unfolding of you bringing more joy into your life. And Jenna, I couldn't be more proud to be standing alongside alongside you in this
Thank you.
experience with Souls Into It. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for sharing your light and your wisdom. This was truly helpful. Brittany's like, that's awesome. Love a workshop. Very grateful for this conversation. Keep
Yay.
the conversation going, friends. We're here for you. We will respond. Jenna's not going anywhere. This is just the beginning. So thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for being a part of the conversation. We're sending you tremendous love. I've got my interview with Debs later today at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Oh, Brittany says you're all the best. Right back at you,
Aw,
Mama.
love you.
And we will talk to you guys real soon. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you all. Bye.